How would you like to learn the secrets of two Karma Club Award winners on how they have built successful online businesses from almost nowhere to now running multiple 7 and 8-figure businesses by following the simple fundamentals of life? And let's see how they have used the powerful funnel systems, processes, automation, and social media to help their business grow at a different pace. Let's dive into their journey to grasp the strategy, mindset, action plan of how they have done it from almost nowhere to the way up to 7 figures. We are going to uncover and pick their brains of the top performing entrepreneurs on this show. How they have done it and how you can do it too. You are listening to The Nikhil Sai, the host, and welcome to The Nikhil Sai Show. What's going on? What's going on, everyone who's actually listening to this podcast right now? First of all, guys, welcome to The Nikhil Sai Show, which is hosted by me, The Nikhil Sai. And guess what's going on today? We are back with another amazing two Karma Club winner. And guys, guess who's actually joining us today? This is a crazy story and journey for sure. Today we have a master healer. He's an energy healer who's been in the industry from almost 25 years. With his experience, he's been helping entrepreneurs, couples, and truth seekers uncover their hidden success blockers and get them the best output which they should actually be getting, right? And the best part is he's also an Amazon bestseller author, the enrollment effect author as well. And he is doing crazy stuff when it comes to the alignment. And the best part is he created something called cat. We'll get into that in the later part of the session. The actual the guy who's hopping on this podcast has been on multiple news channels and news publications like USA Today, ABC, CBS, NBC, and he's been on stages with amazing people, and even very close to Tony Robbins as a way. So today we're having someone who's going to share the message and prove that you're just one alignment away. So guys, let's not waste time and actually let's welcome Tyler Watson, who is CEO at Abundance Masters. Hey, Tyler.
Hey, how's it going?
Yeah, brother, it's going absolutely great. Thanks for joining us today.
You're welcome. I'm excited to share some stuff and hopefully help some people.
Yeah, for sure, Tyler. I mean, it's quite crazy to even see like how this energy kind of vibrations can really transform people and heal other people at a really different level. So before we get into like the actual juicy stuff, we would love to hear and start with your backstory. Like, how did all of this crazy journey started?
Yeah, well, what started really, honestly, it was when I was younger. I was
Mm-hmm.
about like 12 years old. And I remember, so I grew up, my dad was super passionate about family. So was my mom. And about at the age of 12, I remember my dad telling me, hey, he wanted to talk to me. And I thought, oh, well, I'm probably in trouble because usually that's the only time he talks to me. I forgot to do some sort of chore or something. And he's
Mm-hmm.
like, you know, Tyler, your mom and I are getting a divorce. And it was out of the blue. I had no idea they were even arguing and they were even thinking about it. And it hit me so hard at the age of 12. I felt like it was my fault, my responsibility, like I could have saved their marriage. And I watched my mom go through 4 divorces, my dad through 2 of them. And during that time, I pretended that everything was okay. So I put on the face, acted as if no problems were there. I just pretended that everything was great, got straight A's in school, MVP, class president. But at the end of the day, I was super depressed, suicidal. I turned to pornography addictions, video game addictions, and I struggled a lot with feeling like I even had a purpose on the planet. And that led into a lot of things. Like I was terrified to get into a relationship, just watching
Mm-hmm.
all the struggles. Yet
Mm-hmm.
part of me really wanted to have success. I wanted a great relationship. I wanted to feel free. I wanted to be not addicted to these things. And so I started to go on this journey to like understand the mind and how it works and the body and why we go through crap and why some people tend to go through crap over and over and over and over and over and over. And some people, they just do it and then change. So I wanted to be that person who could just make a change. So I
Hmm.
struggled a lot with my personal value. I became like a therapist, but I was helping other people to avoid my own problems. And but on that way, like I started to find that change could be possible. Not only possible, but it could happen for me. And so, yeah, I went from a place of struggling, making less than like $1,200 a month to creating my first 6 figures within 7 months. I started
Wow.
to, I got married, ended up changing a lot of my beliefs, a lot of my habits. And I was from a town of like less than 3,000 people. So I had nothing really going for me, but I knew like if I could do that, then anybody could. Like
Hmm.
nobody has any excuses. And
True.
so I went through a lot of repetition, a lot of passion, a lot of tools and processes, invested a lot in myself with money that I didn't have, borrowed it from people, and finally started to see those results. And yet part of me just wanted faster, more effective ways to make lasting change. So 3 years ago, about 3 years ago, I ended up developing what is now called the abundance alignment technique. It used to be called the complete alignment technique. Today, it's known as the abundance alignment technique. And it's a process that instead of having to do a lot of tools and processes that are like repetition and passion and drilling it or getting to root causes of why we have all of our junk, what it's based on just changing your cellular memory so that you can
Hmm.
get exactly what you want without all the fighting, without all the going in circles, without all the procrastination. And that's what we do now. So it's really powerful. We've helped hundreds and hundreds of people learn it, apply it, and make lasting changes that some people take 40 years to change. But
True.
through what we teach, sometimes it's in an hour or two. So it's really, really powerful.
Wow. Yeah, Tyler, I appreciate that. And I think that's definitely mind unlocking for someone to just, kind of, find themselves within and just realize that how stuck they were because of, the misalignments they actually have till date, right? So, I mean, Tyler, like, including me, not a lot of people might be familiar with like cellular alignment and self-healing and a lot of this stuff because it's not well spoken about, right? And people like you are the ones who are kind of putting out the message and really spreading this through, and absolutely we appreciate you doing this great job. But we would love to hear more about like what is actually cellular alignment and how it actually works, how does that really impact someone, who's an entrepreneur basically.
Yeah. So cellular alignment. So a lot of gurus out there teach about the mind. So they say,
Hmm.
change the way you think, change your mindset. Like it's all about the mindset. If you think it, it'll come. Like think positive. And there is truth to that. However, I drilled a lot of positive thinking for years, yet I still stayed stuck. And so my question was, it can't just be in the mind. Like some people, they make a decision and they get a result really quick.
Hmm.
Some
Hmm.
people, miracles happen. Some people stay stuck forever. So I wanted
Yeah.
to understand, like, what's the difference? Why is it that some people make drastic, phenomenal quantum leaps in their life and other people stay stuck for 50 years? So I was like, it can't just be the mind. So
Yeah.
I did a lot
True.
of research and started studying about the body. And my dad's what's called a clinical kinesiologist. My stepmom's a naturopath. I was studying to become a doctor of natural medicine. And through my studies, I found that not only does the brain have memory, but every organ, every gland, every cell in your body also has memory. There's a lot of case studies that have people who've had organ transplants, where when the organ transplant occurs, the desires of the person change. So somebody all of a sudden they'll get like a certain organ and they'll have memories that aren't their own. They'll also have
Wow.
cravings that aren't their own. They'll start to pick up like weird habits, and it was from the donor. So if someone receives an organ and that organ changes their habits, then it's not just the brain.
Quite
It,
crazy to even think about.
right? It's also the organ and gland itself. So what I found is that every organ, gland, and cell has memory in it. And that memory locks on to your past perceptions. So if I have a pain in my life, let's say I'm trying to make a
Hmm.
certain amount of money and I was trying to make like $10,000 in a month. That was my first big goal. I was like, that would be incredible. It was like my annual income. And I was like, that would be amazing. And yet every time I tried to do it, I failed and it sucked and it was super hard and I got rejected. So my body interpreted $10,000 as failure, rejection, and pain. So the more that I tried to push it, the further it got away. And I would
Hmm.
procrastinate. I would turn to addictions, which I felt safe with because I was in control. I knew, oh, if I look at porn, I'm going to get this feeling of a sensation that I'm in control of. Oh, if I go and do a video game, I feel like I'm in control and I can progress. Whereas if I go try to make money, I feel like a failure. I have no control. I feel unsafe. So the
Hmm.
body is dictating those choices. It's not just your brain. And there are many of them are just unconscious. And you're just like, I don't know, it just happens. And we don't
Hmm.
ever like look at it. We're just like, oh, I
True.
guess it just happened. No, it actually is happening for a reason. So cellular alignment is taking those memories that are stored in the body. And so all memories are stored in the body and in the mind, but they're stored as allergies or addictions. So an allergy
Hmm.
is something that the body pushes away. And an addiction is something that the body holds on to that doesn't serve itself.
Hmm.
So in that moment, my body was allergic to money, $10,000, that idea, and addicted to struggle, pain, and difficulty.
Hmm.
So alignment is neutralizing those fight flight responses and allowing you to create your own reality regardless of your past perceptions. That is essentially what cellular alignment is.
Wow. Yeah. Beautiful, beautiful analogy, Tyler. Appreciate you going detail into how does this cellular alignment works. I think that's going to be really mind unlocking for a lot of people. And we have many more amazing questions further. So I'm very excited for this, Tyler. So, this is a learning curve for me personally because this is not well spoken about. We couldn't even find like detailed information about this information. So, we would love to, hear more. So, like, first of all, when it comes to building, abundance or basically getting richer or basically not just in terms of money, but in terms of anything, in terms of abundance in relationship, in abundance in mindset, abundance in peacefulness, right? It's all about like having those traits kind of where you actually build those habits and traits in you which will build that, right? So we'd love to learn from you, the expert, on how to build abundant traits which can actually get the end goal of any person. It could be financially or any other person goals.
Yeah, so there's a great book and there's a lot of great gurus who teach about habits and like
Mm-hmm.
creating habits which then change your identity and focusing on changing through repetition though.
Mm-hmm.
Consistency, doing it for 90 days, 120 days, sometimes a year. And I was just sick and tired of like thinking like, does it really have to take that long? Like, why does it have to do that? Like, who says that that's the rule? So
True.
I was like, it's just perceptions. So I thought, well, to create an abundant trait, some abundant traits, like the kind of traits that I see as abundant. One is yes, consistency. But there's actually a formula that I like to share, and
Mm-hmm.
it's an equation. It's called the unstoppable equation. And
Mm-hmm.
what that is basically on one side is like it's a U to represent the speed of attaining your goal. So whether it's love, connection, health, relationships, whatever it might be, money, whatever someone desires. So if you have a U on one side equals, and then you have an S to represent skills multiplied by, so parentheses, so S multiplied by F, which is focus, plus W, which is work. Now, close parentheses. Now, that's the top of the equation, and that's what most people
Mm-hmm.
focus on. If you have skills in something, you improve your skills, you have work and focus, you can solve anything, which is true.
True.
You just put
Yep.
in enough work and effort and enough repetition, eventually you'll hit the mark. The problem though is underneath that. So it's all divided by allergies and addictions. So your fight
Mm.
flight responses take away from the work, take away from the focus, take away from the skills. So too often we go logical and we're like, I just need to drill it. I just need to push through it. I just need to keep working harder. But to actually work harder, we need to work smarter by actually changing how we react to the things that we're doing. So one of the
Hmm.
best traits that I suggest people to work on is the self-awareness to see how their body responds and then change that and using the alignment process. So that way you don't have to be a victim to your situations and circumstances, And if you put in, let's say up at the top, if you're putting in 100 amount of effort and work and skills, but you've got like 4 addictions and allergies, all of a sudden it takes 100 amount of energy, and instead of getting 100 out, you only get like 25 out. So
Yes.
that's why people take so long to attain their goals, is because if I'm going 3 steps forward, but my body's pulling me 2 steps back, it's going to take a long time for me to get there. Sometimes it takes you 4 steps back and you go in reverse and you're like, crap, like I really want to move forward. So it's all because of our fight flight responses in our body. If we change
Hmm.
those, we can truly become unstoppable and create anything that we want on this planet.
Wow. Yeah, beautiful, Tyler. Appreciate you mentioning that, brother. And I think this brings back to the next question we actually have, right? Most of the entrepreneurs and business owners, right, who are actually trying to build something and have a huge desire to build something, right? 90% of the times, most likely in very, most situations, they get into a self-stuck situation because of something which is internal. Like 90% of it has nothing to do with external market, business, capital, nothing. It's most likely like internal, or the cellular thing, and the mindset thing we're talking about here, right? So everyone kind of pushes themselves into that situation. So how can an entrepreneur like can get out of this self-stuck situation actually? Because this is very, very quite common. This happens almost 10 times every day for most of the people. Right? Maybe 100 times every week,
Oh,
right?
it's
Who knows?
huge. Yet we just accept it as a reality. And that's our
Hmm.
problem. We just think that's the way it is. So here's a problem that I see with entrepreneurs, and I fell into this too, is when we're working on marketing, when we're working on the external things, some sense of us feels like it's out of our control, which therefore it's someone else's responsibility.
This is
And
huge.
that's a problem, because
True.
the moment that I feel like I have no control over that thing, like my ads or the conversions, it's my ad manager, it's Facebook, it's YouTube. I'm giving my power away
That is
and I
true.
become a victim to that thing. So one of the best things in health, like, oh, I have this symptom in my life that's incurable. Same thing. Relationships. Oh, it's not me, it's my spouse or it's my kids. So the moment that we take away that responsibility, we lose power and we feel weak in that moment. And our body actually goes in a state of weakness. So what we need to do is to get yourself unstuck out of situations. Number one, we need to take back responsibility and see that even if it doesn't seem like it's in your control, you can
Hmm.
change anything. And
True.
the very fact that it's in your life, I teach a little thing it's like everything has energy to it. Everything has a
Hmm.
frequency to it. If I'm happy, that's a state of energy, that's a state of frequency. It's a frequency, and that frequency is different than a state of depression or sadness. If I'm excited, that's different energy. $100 is a different frequency than 1,000, than 10,000, than a million. A relationship that's loving and kind and connected is much different than one that is abusive or hurtful. There are
True.
different patterns and frequencies in there, but everything has a pattern of energy to it, and everything's
Hmm.
made up of energy. So the key here is, okay, so if I have something that's happening in my life, the only reason it's happening is if I'm on board with that frequency. Some part of me is tuned into it. Otherwise, it wouldn't be in my reality at all. So if you
Hmm.
imagine every organ and gland of your cell kind of like a radio station, your reality right now, every single situation is because some part of you is tuned in to what is going on. If
Wow.
you change that station, your reality changes. So I think the biggest problem, like that people stay stuck, is we accept it. And it's like, oh, that's just the way it is. I have no
I have no
control over the
control.
situation.
Yeah.
And then we give up and we ignore or we justify instead of saying, actually, what if I change the channel? What if I take my power back and instead of this happening, I change it? Like so much more responsibility, but responsibility is power. So that's the number one way to get out of those situations is first acknowledging that you have that ability. And then second,
Hmm.
learning how to align to change it, right? Because it's the philosophy is cool, but having a tool that's like, this is exactly how I do it. And you align strategically every organ, gland, and cell. Now you create your own reality.
Wow, yeah, that's on point, spot on, brother. Appreciate you mentioning that. I think 99% of the people who will be listening to this, it's an aha moment for them. Oh my god, I'm a victim of what's going on. Rather, I should take the responsibility. Of course, it's a big thing, but once you realize that it could be taken into control, I think that's a game changer. It's 99% discovering a fact that you could do it. It's just about taking the responsibility, right? That was beautiful, brother. Appreciate you mentioning that. Let's get to the next question.
Yeah.
We would love to hear a quick journey, like how did you scale Abundance Masters to over seven figures while you're impacting thousands of people?
Yeah. So that honestly was me aligning to it. Part of me resisted it a lot. And it's interesting. So to me, growing up, awards, and this is the part where our memory dictates so much of our results. Growing up, I would get awards, right? I was like class president, MVP. I did all these out external things, but I was
Mm-hmm.
looking for internal validation, which I didn't get. So
Mm-hmm.
part of me created an identity or a pattern around I hate awards. Like I hated earning stuff because it represented fake love to me. And it was something that I was like, "Oh, I
That's
have to
deep.
earn this to feel loved, to feel valuable." So what I started to do, and it was interesting because that was my perception. So when I thought 2 Comma Club award, like get 7 figures, right? I resisted it. I hated the idea, like watching people on stage and getting their award. It made me like sick. I was like, this is disgusting. Like I hate this. And so anytime I got close, I would not attain my goal. And I wanted to, like, I was like, I want to make more money. But for some reason, stuff just got thrown off. Like our ads stopped working and things stopped converting. And I'm like, oh, why? And my wife, her experience growing up was she had to attain goals and awards in order to, it was similar but different, but it validated her love. So every time she
Mm.
gained an award, it made her feel really good and like accepted. So she was opposite of me. So she was like, let's go get this thing. Like, come on. And I was like, screw this thing. It sucks. But we never vocalized that. So the moment that we and there's two parts to aligning. One is called redefining. So what I actually did is I took the idea of what 2 Comma Club award was, and we
Mm-hmm.
mapped out all of our perceptions, past perceptions, and mine were and you map out all the horrible ones. So you're like, awards, man, they're disgusting. I like skipped my graduation. I like do all this stuff. Like I didn't like it. And then my wife, and we mapped them all out. And then we map out ideally what it is that we want it to mean. So what if we had a choice, what would we want it to mean? Oh, creating seven figures would be really powerful. It'd be impacting more people. It'd be helping people. It'd be incredible. It'd be connecting to God. It'd be really in like just this amazing feeling and sensation. And now what we did, you're basically mapping out your fight flight responses. And then we aligned to getting our 2 Comma Club award. And
Hmm.
within 3 months afterwards, we got our 2 Comma Club award after aligning and changing it. And I had been working on this thing for like 4 freaking years, like trying to get
Wow.
my 2 Comma Club award. So finally, it was just like changing how I perceived it. And once we discovered that and changed how our bodies responded, everything we did just seemed natural. It was like, of course we're going to get the award. Of course we'll do that. Because now it's not to prove anything. Now it's not to validate our love. It's just because we want to. And it's a good goal and it can be fun and it can be godly and it can be exciting. So
Hmm.
that to me, like the journey is all about self creation and helping others create themselves as well. And it's not so much about like the award or getting the number. It's about who do you become? And people talk about that, but we make it a reality of like, it's you're actually changing who you are and you have a way to do so. So yeah, it's totally about who are you becoming along that journey that matters the most.
Hmm. Yeah, true, true, true. Appreciate that, brother. That was really insightful. And I think that brings back to the next question, which is, like when it comes to you actually helping people who are stuck for like dozens of years and getting them unstuck with just like one simple self-realization, right? Same goes with your journey, like being stuck for 4 years, then just realize how alignment can help you and like immediately shifted, pivoted, and got a two comma club in 3 months, right? 90 days, that's a freaking short period. So we would love to hear like how does this fast transformation takes place? Like so many coaching clients or so many coaching businesses are out there, they just take months and years to kind of even transform a little things, right? And when you are actually changing lives within just span of snaps. So we'd love to hear more about like how someone can get like fast results for their clients like you're doing.
Yeah, well, I'm going to toot my own horn, but learn how to align. Like if you can fully align, then you have a system and a structure and a way to solve any problem that comes your way.
Hmm.
To get fast results, it really takes learning first that everything in the body is a frequency. Everything. Everything
Hmm.
outside of you is a frequency. And you have the ability to change that. Now, alignment is just being in a state of turning off the fight flight responses and being at peace. When someone's in a state of peace, and there's multiple tools and techniques that get you into a state of alignment, I just believe
Hmm.
we found the most systematic one and most thorough way to do it and fastest. But there's lots of techniques I've done. I've invested almost $500,000 in my personal development and gone through over 400 different techniques and processes over the past, 8 years.
Wow.
So I've tried a lot of things. A lot of them will work on certain things and then they'll stop working. Sometimes you'll get momentum and then something else will come up. And the key is constantly being in check on how you think and feel. So if I'm going for a goal and I see it not working, instead of just being stubborn and like I'm just going to keep doing it over and over. So that's called stupidity. And like so often though we're
That
just
was spot
stupid.
on.
We're
Yeah.
just stupid. Honestly, we're just really stupid. And we think we're going to earn a badge for it. Like I am just going to be stubborn and stupid and do the same thing over and over until it works. Like it makes sense not to do that elsewhere. So why would we do it with ourselves and in our personal development and growth or in our
True.
marriage or in our whatever it is that we're doing? So the key is to make the changes and consistently make changes inside of yourself. How do I respond? How does my heart feel towards that goal? How does my organs and glands and my brain, is every single part of me 100% in tune with what I want and on that frequency? Change the channel so it's literally like now. It's happening today. And when you tune in everything, there's no more resistance. And you can actually think, get revelation, ideas, do whatever it takes to create the goal without sacrificing the things that matter most. And you see, if you do a lot of repetition and passion, you create what's called the teeter-totter effect. So you're like,
Hmm.
hey, I'm going to go get my 2 Comma Club award. And you drill it and you like work it hard. And then your family life starts to suck. So you're like income
Hmm.
increases while simultaneously your health or your relationships drop.
True. That's absolutely true.
And that's because people are only focused on the top part of the formula. So they're putting in focus, they're putting in a lot of work, they're putting in a lot of skills. They're improving one area while neglecting the others. A true state of an alignment doesn't do that. If you're truly aligned, you're stopping the pushes and pulls and the fights and flights, and you're able to progress without sacrificing the things that matter. So
Wow.
that's how we've been able to maintain our sanity. I've got 3 little girls, all under the age of 6. I have an amazing wife. We have a lot of time that we spend together. I focus a lot on family. And
Mm-hmm.
my goal is not to ever sacrifice my family for my business. So where some people are working like 80 hours a week or 100 hours a week, I'm like, no, that's a frequency. You can choose how your ideal lifestyle is. And if it's not happening, it's because part of you is addicted to that frequency. And you think that it can't be that way until you align it. And then you can create something new.
Hmm. Yeah, true, brother. Appreciate you. That was really insightful. And Tyler, let's get to the next question. We would love to hear more about like the tools you use to manage your projects and clients for productivity, even for alignment purposes.
Yeah. Well, for productivity, I just look at results. So if somebody gets a
Mm-hmm.
result, I'm like, cool. And honestly, I'm not very good at tracking stuff. I just get testimonials and I'm like, sweet, you're getting a result. So I'm not one of those. I'm like not good at tracking. I'm not a numbers dude, not tracker. Like my wife's that. She loves numbers and tracking. I'm like, whatever. I just care about impact and did you change? Are you feeling it? Cool. So the things that I manage my projects are a lot of just intuition based. And it's just like, are people happy? Are they getting their results? And if so, great. When I'm holding people accountable, I do a higher level of accountability with stuff. And that comes down to more of like rewards and consequences. So if somebody's like tells me they're going to do something and they don't, then there's going to be a consequence. And it might be they have to run 7 miles or pay somebody they hate like $500, like whatever it is, like that hurts because
Wow, yeah.
sometimes people don't
That builds
change.
the
And
accountability.
yeah, and they've got to have that accountability, and people will change when the pain's hard enough, and either you create the pain or life creates the pain for you, or the reward is high enough. So you got to either up the reward or up the pain, but you set your lows. So in aligning, I suggest to people like you create your rock bottom. Is rock bottom 7 divorces and 3 bankruptcies? Or is rock bottom $300,000 in your bank account? And then you're like, yeah, I feel like life is bad. Like you have to set your rock bottom. Like in the past,
Hmm.
my rock bottom was like $0 in my bank account. And now it's like over 100. And if it gets under 100, like that's an alarm, like bad things, like not good. Right. So everybody sets their low, and it all
Hmm.
depends on your choices and what you set as like, this is painful to me.
Yep, beautiful brother. We would love to hear more about like your daily routine as an experienced healer. What kind of daily routines do you actually practice and follow?
I'm terrible with daily routines. Like I used to follow them like religiously. I would wake
Mm-hmm.
up at a certain time, like do certain tools and processes. But for my nature, I'm more of an intuitive person. So having too much structure actually shuts down my creativity. So my routines are actually not very routine. They are just totally different, like every day. And that's how I like it. So
Wow.
like I
So
wake
any
up.
like common activities you follow like every day? Yeah.
Yeah, well, there's weekly things that I do. So
Mm-hmm.
there's things that I do every week. One is like I always align. I do some alignment on myself every week, sometimes multiple times depending on how fast I want to get my goal. So that's a thing that I always do. I when I don't put spiritual things first, I notice for myself, I just lose focus on everything. So spiritual stuff really matters a lot to me. So praying and like studying scriptures and like really diving in and like tuning into God. If I don't do that, I get lost in the minutia and I feel like everything's pointless. So I have
Hmm.
to do that. Like it really makes a difference because my business, I made a promise long ago. Like my goal was, since a lot of people will like be broke or struggle and turn to a higher power, which I was, that's the natural thing, like, oh, help. But I was like, what about the test of, can you thrive and still turn to a higher power and really connect to God? And so I wanted to pass that. So I told him, like, even if I'm crushing it and doing so good, like, I still want to have that same connection when I was
Wow.
struggling. And it's not always been easy. Sometimes I've forgotten and I've dropped, and then I notice my results suck. And I'm like, gotta go back to my focus here. So that's a,
Hmm.
a daily thing that I like to do. I also make my way of communicating is very, very conscious. So what I say, what I watch, I have trained myself to where it's a routine on what I put
Hmm.
in and what I put out. So,
Wow.
I don't use like curse words. I'm very conscious of the types of words because every word has a frequency and a power to it. So for me, it's tuning into definitions and words, and that is something that's extremely important for me. And I would say that that's a routine. It's just become kind of natural. Also, seeing everything as a frequency. So when I do stuff, I do it very consciously. There's some really great stuff out there. Like every time I wake up, as soon as I touch my feet on the ground, I think thank you, and I go into gratitudes. And as I'm walking, I'm like thank you, thank you, thank you. when I feel like there's tons of things that I implement and I don't do it every day, but I do it when I feel like I need it. So sometimes when I'm using the restroom, I'm thinking I'm letting go of all that doesn't serve me. And I'm just like getting rid of all the toxins. When I'm drinking water, I'm imagining frequencies in my water that I'm drinking and it just becomes part of who I am. When I do dishes, sometimes I'm like thinking about all the cool sales that I'm making, and every dish represents like $1,000. And I like tie meaning to everything
Mm-hmm.
so that
Wow.
everything has a purpose. So
That's an exciting way
I
to look
wouldn't
at
say
it.
it's like a daily routine, but it's more of
Mm-hmm.
a way of living. It's living with intention. And
True.
that to me is more important than just checking off all the routines of like, I did my workout. I did my vision board. I did my meditation. I did this. Like those are just tools, which are great. Like I teach a lot of tools, but sometimes people become slaves to the tools and they lose their identity and they lose their consciousness just going through the
Mm.
routines and the tools.
True. Yeah, we have seen so many people kind of getting lost because of some, unpathetic routine following. They have no clue how that will turn out, right in the end. Yeah, that was a very good perspective, brother. I think it brings back to like what you really want and just following that and just getting the best out of yourself. So Tyler, let's get to the next question. I mean, you have been in the industry from a long time. There is one suggestion you could go back and give yourself when you were 20 years old. How would that suggestion look like?
Well, if I had to go back, I would teach myself how to align because I didn't develop the technique till 3 years ago. But if I
Mm-hmm.
learned it back then, that would be epic. Like back then, I just did all the repetition and passion, put in hundreds of hours, like thousands, tens of thousands of hours now. And uh, it got me the perspective, which was great. But yeah, if I had to do it all over again, I would just start aligning really quick because that's going to like save me hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours.
Yeah, beautiful. Yep, that was awesome, brother. So, your life's biggest achievement so far and any next bigger goals.
Yeah, that's an interesting thing. Like life's biggest achievements. One was some of the things that I'm most proud of. I served a 2-year mission in Mexico for 2 years teaching people about God and Christ. That was a
Wow.
huge achievement for me.
Mm-hmm.
Another big achievement was like getting married and really changing myself to find my ideal partner and
Mm-hmm.
be like worthy of her and deserving of her. And then having 3 kids, like those are some huge achievements. And some big other achievements is being able to overcome all the crap that I've been through and not let it stop me. Like those are huge to me. And writing 2 books, getting Comic Club award, helping thousands of people, making good money, getting our ideal home. Like we've got all sorts of like just so many cool things of what we want and where we're going and who we're becoming. But honestly, like the biggest achievements is who I've become and my relationships with my family. Like that to me is just like I could care less about if everything burned down and I lost it all. Who cares? It's like whatever. I could recreate it, but like to me, my family and the consistency and who I am and how I show up, like that's huge.
Yeah, true, brother. Any next bigger goals? Like one big goal you want to mention, which
Yeah.
you personally have?
Well, one of our big goals is we are going to create the one of the most elite trainings for youth for teaching them leadership skills on the planet.
Wow.
So we want to
Mm.
have to where we can empower youth. My wife and I are extremely passionate about it because if we can teach youth how to think, how to align, how to like become unstoppable, they're the leaders and they influence so much. And too often right now, I'm seeing a lot of people just super lazy, like work ethics just suck. And
Yeah.
we want to empower youth who truly want to make a difference. And we want to have the world's best training for the youth. So that's what we're working on. It's a pretty big goal, like lots of time and energy into it. But
Mm-hmm.
that's a big thing for us. And then right now we're training like and certifying a bunch of people in our technique. And our
Wow.
goal is to get 100 people who are empowering others all over the world uh, over the next like year. So that's our next
That's
kind of
beautiful.
goal.
That's very, very impactful, brother. We really wish you do that very fast and effectively on a bigger scale. And we would love to see, like, you're kind of creating a different era and generation with a different mindset, on how they're going to perceive things and, get more aligned with what should be done in this, purposeful world. That was really amazing. So let's get to the next question. Basically, as entrepreneurs, we won't consider mistakes as mistakes, but, just as mentioning, what was the biggest mistake so far if you look back and just say, oh, I wouldn't have done that?
I can honestly not think of anything that I
Mm-hmm.
would say, yeah, just because everything that I've ever done has got me to where I am. So if I had to change something, I honestly wouldn't, because I realized that everything that I've been through is a gift that has gotten me to where I am. And I wouldn't have
Mm,
gotten that gift if I didn't go through those things. So
true.
I look as like my past as like an incredible journey, even though some of it really sucked. And I went through some really crappy things and I did things that I wasn't proud of at the time. I look at it and I'm like, wow, I was aligned to that frequency. That's who I was. And it taught me that I didn't have to stay there. And if I went back, I honestly wouldn't change not going through it, because going through it got me to actually move and learn and like be committed to change.
Yeah, yeah, I agree because you would be in a very comfortable situation if things were
Yeah,
different, right?
I might be super lazy and, like, not driven, like, if I didn't go through any of that, so
Yeah, true, 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 brother. And as entrepreneurs, right, it's really kind of hard, to keep up with your inspiration because you're already you're kind of going through a lot of burnout, right? So, what is like your main inspiration for success, and who are the key people involved in your journey?
yeah, I would say my main inspiration is God, like, that is the number 1 inspiration.
Mm-hmm.
The biggest things that I've ever gotten was actually and it's consistent, it's through a process called a power prayer, and it's
Mm-hmm.
tuning into a higher power, and people can do it if they're different belief systems, but it's tuning into a higher power and really getting to the point where your faith is strong enough to accept whatever happens, not be tied to the outcome, but you can actually set up, and it's found in Genesis 24, where there's a whole process where you follow, and if you pray specifically for an outcome and you pray specifically how you want to receive the outcome. So a lot of people are afraid of like sign seeking, but this is actually validating God's will very specifically. So
Mm.
learning how to get very specific on what I want and how I'm going to receive the answer and how I know it, that has been the number 1 guide for me. It made me leave my career. It made me drop out of my class, like my whole college degree on becoming a doctor of natural medicine. I moved across the country, found my wife that way, got my ideal vehicle. Like everything has been through that power prayer process. And so my wife has been a key person to help me stay in tune, because usually when I'm not getting results because I'm out of tune and I'm just like
Mm-hmm.
going around doing my stupid stuff. So my wife has been like the number 1 person. My dad has been a huge example on the power of frequencies and healing. My mom as well. And I look at like all the people that my clients, they teach me everything too. Like going through, like, I believe that every client that I have has something for me to gain from them, like a lesson or something. And so if that, I like key people, and so many coaches that I've invested in, like a lot, and like learning from them. There's just so many, so many.
Yeah, that was beautiful, brother. Yeah, appreciate you mentioning that. And yeah, that was pretty awesome, Tyler. This is very exciting. I genuinely believe a lot of people who kind of hear this for the first time, they get like so much curious, like, how can I get into this thing? How can I learn alignment and how can I align myself to become a best version of myself, right? So where can our audience find you mentoring, Tyler?
Yeah, so 2 places. One is to join my Facebook group. We have a whole community. It's tylerfb.com. So FB for Facebook,
Mm-hmm.
tylerfb.com. That'll take you to the Abundance Alignment community. In there, there's a bunch of free trainings, like showing you how to do the alignment, breathing processes, and smiling. It's a really weird technique, but it works. And it's funky and it makes you laugh, but it like totally changes your cellular memory. So that's
Wow.
number 1. Number 2 is to just grab my book, the Alignment Effect, and that one's at alignmenteffect.com. So alignmenteffect.com, you can get my book. That'll teach you everything you need to know to start. your journey of alignment.
Yep, beautiful. So, guys, you know where to go. It's in the description. You will find the link to join actually Tyler's Facebook group at the same time to grab his book and get your hands on to start your alignment journey for sure. So, yeah, that was pretty beautiful and spot on, Tyler. It was like a tight slap on a lot of entrepreneurs' face to understand that it's mostly about themselves rather than being a victim of what's happening around them. Right? That was so powerful message, and thank you so much. We genuinely believe this should be spoken more and kind of be more outside, and I believe millions of people should start using these techniques and impact on the people and genuinely create a positive impact. So any last word before we conclude the entire podcast session for today?
I mean, the only thing I want to leave you with is that no matter what you're going through, and literally, like, no matter what you're going through, whether it's some sort of symptom that you feel like can't be changed, whether it's a financial situation, whether it's some
Mm-hmm.
sort of like situation with love or not feeling connected, everything is a
Mm-hmm.
frequency. Everything. And you have the power. I believe that God has given us the ability to make choices. And now you know that you make choices not just logically in your mind, but in every cell of your body. And when you can make choices on every part of your body and be fully on board, your results will change.
Yeah, wow, that's a beautiful conclusion. Once again, Tyler, thank you so much for this amazing opportunity. It was definitely amazing to have you on. It was so insightful for a lot of people who are actually listening to this. So, guys, make sure to check out the links in the description, grab his book, and join Facebook community of Tyler to get more insights about alignment techniques and how you can become a better business entrepreneur and better person in general. So, yeah, hopefully you enjoyed the podcast session for today, guys. So, stay tuned for the next interview and I'll be coming back with another amazing entrepreneur. This is me, the Nikhil Sai, and Tyler Watson signing off for today. Peace. Bye, Tyler.
See ya.